Our subject matter tonight. Yes, you can read that, and we will take a look at a couple of headlines here. Did you even know there was a Tomaquag Museum? To be honest with you, if I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm always honest with you, the answer is no. Lorén, I did not know that there was a museum.
Yes, that's a pervasive problem that we have, that people don't, either they know we exist or they don't know we exist. There's not a in-between space there. So our friends say, oh, you're in the media a lot. And the people that, like yourself, never heard of us before go, huh, there's a museum in Exeter? And we're 58 years old.
Is it right on Route 2?
No, it's on the Arcadia side of Exeter, off of 165 into the backwoods of Exeter. And for long-time Rhode Islanders, where the Dovecrest Indian restaurant used to be back in the 60s, 70s, and early 80s.
Oh, well, there's classic. Even Native American references are in Rhode Island, where the other thing used to be.
Exactly.
So you've got a little grant situation that you got, and as part of like stepping up your game, we'll talk about the competition for a larger
Sure.
award coming up. But tell me about this new money that you just received.
Well, we just received a grant from the Inclusion Initiative, which is part of Third Sector New England, and it is an Indigenous Empowerment Initiative is the name of our project. And they have a special program called the Inclusion Initiative to bring in diverse populations and help eradicate poverty. That's the goal of their initiative, in a short phrase.
Well, you know, I said at the top of the show that, you know, the entire Native American conversation in Rhode Island seems to be just off the agenda since the casino debate and the smoke shop controversies and all of that have died down now years ago. I want to get your reaction to that when we come back. And we'll talk more about all the other stuff, and we'll get you to the museum somehow. Stay with us. Back with Lorén Spears. She is the executive director of the Tomaquag Museum, and you're thinking, yeah, where's the Tomaquag Museum? Again, it's in Exeter.
It's in Exeter, off of Arcadia Road.
And we've got a we got a website reference, right? We always have that, and of course,
yes.
If you ever need to find a website for something we discussed here, go to foxprovidence.com, and we'll send you there. But the website is
tomaquagmuseum.org.
Duh, makes sense to me. This museum is not necessarily directly related to the Narragansett Indian tribe, correct?
It's an independent nonprofit. Since it was founded, the reason why the name is Tomaquag, which means beavers in the Narragansett language, is we were originally founded in Tomaquag Valley by Princess Redwing, who was a Narragansett Wampanoag woman, who, along with Eva Butler, whose property it actually was on, established Tomaquag Museum. Princess Redwing was that indigenous voice, which we've always had as a main goal of the museum, to have that first-person voice, and Eva Butler was an anthropologist that had a very large collection, and eventually it was open to the public through Tomaquag Museum. And over the 58 years, we've gained many, many collections to our.
Do you get a lot of foot traffic to the museum?
We do. We actually do. I think, off the top of my head, I want to say that we had about maybe 8,000 people that we service now. Some of that is off-site programming because we do a lot of, our facility is small currently, which is why we're doing new home development. But we do both on-site programming and off-site programming. So on-site, when we're having an event, we might have 100, 120 people at a time. Groups, a maximum of about 40, 50 people if the weather's nice and we can use our pavilion.
Are people coming from around the region, or is it very locally
Actually,
centric?
Around the world. We
really?
Probably have something like 15 states countries on average, and about 40 states that are represented. They sign in our sign-in book every year. And on our podcast, we're reaching the world at large. We have over 40 countries and something like 47 states represented in our Indigenous Lifeways podcast.
Wow.
Yes.
So you got a lot going on.
We do.
You know, very often in Rhode Island, we find this to be happening. There'll be something big going on that a lot of Rhode Islanders don't even know about. And on this one, guilty. Sorry, you know. So I wasn't
We're going to high five.
No, I was going to raise my hand. That's the first time I've made a guest flinch on this show. Congratulations. So have you know, Donald Trump, you know, boom.
That would be trouble.
You're looking for a national platform, though, right? There's a contest that you guys are engaged in.
We were nominated by Senator Sheldon Whitehouse For the National Medal, which is done by the Institute of Museum and Library Services, it's the highest honor in the nation for libraries and museums. And very excitingly, Tomaquag was named one of the top 30 finalists this year, so we're very, very excited and very proud of that accomplishment.
What does that bring you?
More than anything, a lot of prestige, and to be on a national level with museums. I believe there's 35,000 museums across the country, and we're one of the top 30 this year. And the Institute of Museum and Library Services does a spotlight of each of the 30 finalists over the next month. Our date, I believe, is March 18th, where from their Facebook page on the national level, they will be showing videos and pictures, and our constituents can share their stories. Our partner organizations can share their partnerships with us, with the world, whether that's Rhythm and Roots Festival or the Roger Williams National Memorial or Brown University. I mean, each year we have about 20 to 25 partnerships. We just hired through a Rhode Island Foundation grant a new assistant director, and we just did the orientation, and we went through all our partnerships. Right now we have 22 active partnerships going on and 13 active grants, equaling about $160,000. And for our small organization, that's a lot of grant funding.
It's impressive. You agree with me that the discussion of the Narragansett Indian tribe and Native Americans in general in our region and our state has kind of quailed ever since the casino conversation kind of went off the newsreels? Well,
as an educator, I tend to think that indigenous culture is invisible 99% of the time unless there's something negative going on. What is perceived as negative. And we're often left out of the conversation, and we're often left out of the education. One of the things I would really like to see is that the curriculum would require, we live in the state of Rhode Island, and the first peoples of Rhode Island are the Narragansett, and originally the Narragansett and Niantic people, but they merged together as one people after King Philip's War in 1675, approximately. So we're one people. You have one federally recognized tribe, and we can't do an honest representation of those people. Teachers are required to teach a Native American unit, I believe, in 4th grade, but that's vague. They often will do the smattering
like the
around,
right?
Yeah, the smattering around the country of a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Some do it really well. Some teachers reach out to us and do it really, really well and get a first-person perspective. But in fairness, I was a teacher for quite a few years in public school and then ran a small private school. Teaching is hard work, and you can't research everything to the fullest, so we should be providing opportunities for teachers to have good quality educational materials around indigenous culture specific to this state.
There was an interesting piece or a series of pieces in the Providence Journal about income disparity, and we'll talk about that when we come back. Stay with us. Lorén Spears is the executive director of the Tomaquag Museum, which is in Exeter, and you should visit it, and I should visit it, and I shall, and you shall. And it's one of those things that's happening. There's more national and international profile for this museum than perhaps even folks neighborhood proximate understand, which is cool and not so cool, right? So tell me about the question about income disparity, and really just what I'm sure you are concerned about, and that's some kind of level playing field for Native Americans in this state. The conversation has been very quiet while the numbers are not very good.
No, and I'm a parent. I have 3 children, and the thing that shocks me is that they're not changing very significantly. And most people that visit our museum, they think that the quote-unquote impoverished Indians are only out on some remote reservation, as opposed to the way our history unfolded, and most people don't live on a reservation in Rhode Island. And that is like just a misunderstanding there. There's about 8,000 indigenous people living in Rhode Island. Not all of them are Narragansett, but that's according to the U.S. Census. And our tribe has about 3,000 people within it, the federally recognized tribe. Not all living in Rhode Island. So the reality is these numbers include lots of indigenous people from a variety of communities across the state of Rhode Island. But 42% of us live in poverty. That's a high number. Compared to the white population, it's only 14%. So just to give a comparative, and for statewide, it's only 20%. So that's a huge disparity there.
Why is it?
I think that there's a lot of complex issues around that. Some of it is education, some of it is the historical trauma that's befallen our people, and some of it is flat out racism that gets interjected into it, or just bias or misunderstanding that can be kind of interwoven in that and what people perceive about indigenous people. When, as you mentioned at the beginning, what is often presented is only what's the big sale for the media, you know, casino, smoke shop, and most people only get the sound bites of what that's all about and really don't understand the full depth of what transpired, and that falls into how they perceive the people, the Narragansett people.
Is there an economic solution?
Well, you know, that's a big question, and my economic solution, the team that I'm putting together, partnering with the University of Rhode Island, Dr. Bird from the Department of Education, he's the director there, and Darrell Waldron from the Rhode Island Indian Council. We have a myriad of other partners, the Northeast Indigenous Arts Alliance, the Narragansett Silver Clouds, Roger Williams National Memorial, just to name a few, that are all coming together to create this network in order to foster job training, job development, and education for indigenous people, but putting them in a place that they feel really comfortable. The museum has their history in it, their culture, their artists already working there, and people that they know and feel comfortable with, to sort of start bridging some gaps, to start doing job training internships to fellowships or apprenticeships, and eventually even maybe degree programs in Native studies, museum studies, Native art, but not just art in the way that sometimes mainstream education puts it. And so also partnering with other partners that might foster those same kinds of jobs and become a liaison, so maybe a Native youth will learn how to be a forest ranger at the national park.
All right, well, obviously that's a conversation that we need to dig in for another day. So clearly the museum is not just about history, it's about moving forward too, correct?
Yes,
All
it's
right.
about education, and, you know, culture and education.
Tomaquag Museum, check it out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your success. Final word next.